Hello and welcome to episode 15 of Is This Thing On Podcast with myself, Michael Jansen, and my good friend, Alysia Knowles. Hello, Alysia. How are you?
Hey, Michael. How's it going over there?
It's good. It's absolutely scorching in London.
Really?
It's getting very, very hot. I think it's hit all of 22 degrees, and I'm dying. It's really hot.
Want to trade places?
No, no, I don't. Absolutely do not want.
So today
to trade
it
places.
wasn't humid here, which was like a win. I was
great. So only
definitely
70% humidity.
Yeah, only 70%. It was great. It was a whole bright new world. It's so much so that I went to lunch, sat outside.
You didn't.
I did. I'm risking everything, man.
You
I went
daredevil,
out
you.
during Corona, which I haven't done.
Bloody evil Knievel you are.
And then I sat outside in Dubai heat and had a vegan burger. It was
This is so Dubai.
quite an experience. Or it's also very California.
So Dubai.
Okay, so wanna run us into our episode today?
Yeah, I thought, we're still not in it?
No, we're in it, but I mean like into our
We're
topic.
in it now. So today's topic is that we frankly don't know what the fuck we're doing. The real topic is that also, on a more somber note, the news is dying. And this is not just some sensationalist headline and clickbait nonsense. The news is actually dying, like in a very serious sense. Now, not that we're deep inside the industry of journalism. We have a podcast with 5 subscribers, so we're hardly CNN. But what I will say is that there are certain... What? I'm serious. It's true. There are certain things that make good journalism. And I say this from the perspective of a consumer. I like reading well-researched journalism.
I like
you read
watching
an article about something
well-researched journalism.
and watching. We don't discriminate here on this podcast. We do not discriminate on the news unless you are CNN, BBC, or etc., big name news brand. So the context of this is that as advertising, digital media, social media in particular, has kind of changed the way that we spread knowledge and information and news and ideas. As these things have changed, kind of people's priorities have almost changed. So we're no longer really a society that craves knowledge and information and pure informative, content, be that written articles or radio or news or TV, whatever the case is.
We crave drama,
and cat memes,
controversy,
and cat memes, and for that reason, when the same seriously, when the drama and the scandal and the notoriety is all brought down to the same level as cat memes, because if we're being serious, we'll be reading a serious article about something. Someone will text you and be like, lol, you have to see this, and it's a little picture on the WhatsApp notification. You'll click on it and you'll be like, oh, that was really funny. Completely forget the article you were reading, and then go on about your day. And that's the problem now, is that real, genuine information is now sort of brought down to that same level. Now, I'm not taking shots at cat memes. I don't like cats so much, but the memes are great. The memes are great. I'm a fan. So how do we move forward from here? How do we save the news, Alysia? How do we save the news from itself?
So I just want to address kind of where this inspiration came from before we jump into that. Was Hasan Minhaj did a piece about the news dying and kind of where it's coming from, the companies involved in kind of taking down the news industry. Obviously for profit, people are doing this for money. But then the more somber part is that most of our credible news sources come from newspapers. You're going to see Fox and CNN and I don't know about BBC, but all these channels or your local news channel is going to tell a story based off the research that a journalist did for a newspaper. And so that's where a lot of our investigative reporting and really detailed work comes from. So when that dies, what happens? Like even outside of just media, just like social media and the internet and us wanting to consume content so quickly, what happens when there's nobody credible anymore? When everything's a clickbaity headline, when everything's a relation to some sort of cat meme or memes in general, when this becomes our regular news source and there isn't journalists being paid to be journalists, to be proper journalists.
I think that's what's so terrifying, though. That's already happened. Hey, stop. So, don't worry, you're not missing anything. It's only 5 minutes in. We probably haven't gotten into anything serious yet. I just wanted to let you know it's YouTube. So please subscribe. We really appreciate it. Also, you can support us on Patreon. We would really appreciate the support. It would allow us to make better content more often, which I'm sure you would like as well. Anyways, back to regular programming. Thank you. That is the world we live. That picture that you've just painted, that's the modern day.
Yeah, but what right now? Okay, so the number was there was like over 70 reporters working for a specific news place, and over 5 years they now have 8. But they're still the 8, right? At least they're still the 8.
Working over the same spread of subjects.
Right. But they're still reporters, proper reporters, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when those 8 are gone?
That's a scary thought.
Or what do we do to combat it, I guess?
Once again, we do and we don't like cop-out answers on this show.
We love a good gray area. Don't lie to them.
we do. I do in particular. I love me a fence to sit on. They are good and comfortable, them fences. So the problem, the reason that I'm on the fence is ultimately, I suppose, because when you delve onto either side, it's about where the responsibility for the problem lies, right? Is the responsibility with the news source to give the people what the news source believes is real, genuine, good, hard journalism, or is it a case of the human beings are deciding, which I think is already happening, the human beings have decided that actually we prefer cat memes and finding out whether Harry and Meghan are cheating on each other, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Humanity's kind of jumped on the bandwagon and decided that, but we really do actually just like a good little bit of drama. It's what we like.
Right.
And in that moment, put it this way, if we had to make the decision, if as consumers we had to make the decision that we were just going to completely go cold turkey and scrap all the bullshit, all of the scandal and the tabloid nonsense, and stop putting money there and stop paying attention, never buy it again, never click on another clickbait link, do like that kind of level of complete just we don't want it. I think things would change quite quickly, but that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. So I guess for me, why this was so interesting is because I think the solution is in where I found the problem, or where I became acutely aware of the problem, and that was on Hasan Minhaj's show. I think shows like his or documentaries, which are being consumed now, I think at a rate that we haven't seen before, just because people want to learn proper knowledge. I think that craving is still there, but there's limited places to find it. And because we have video format now, and it's unlikely that a millennial, sorry to generalize, not all millennials, is going to sit and read like what I'm trying to think of the proper words, like, like the front page article, and then they had like 3 pages inside the magazine, in the newspaper about this. Like, can you see a millennial like scrolling for that long on one article?
No one's reading page 11 of no one's reading page 11 of the newspaper where there's like a breakdown of the economic impact, the difference on an economy of people who save and have mortgages as opposed to people who rent and have credit card debt or something like that. Like there's that kind of knowledge. It's weird. I'm going to take it even further back, because when we were kids, we always complained that there was no like practical knowledge taught in school. They never taught you how to do your taxes. They never taught you how to, these really like hardcore practical things, like how to budget and how to save and how to get a mortgage and how to, buy a car and how to, like, these things that are just like part of normal adult life that make you a functioning adult in society, or by any standard. Not to like throw that as like a, that's the hill that you're trying to climb. But you never got this knowledge. And I wonder if that's half the problem. I wonder if, when you're not taught how to learn important things, you're kind of like, what is it? Pythagoras. What does it matter? I don't care. And then the newspaper gives you like, okay, climate change. You're like, climate change, Pythagoras. What's the difference?
I just think that I'm almost gonna, I wouldn't say disagree, but say that I think we still want to learn. I think that there's a good majority of people, and again, my view on this is going to be incredibly biased, because I'm going to base this off my life experience, right? And the people I have around me and what's kind of going on in my general sphere, right? From what I'm looking at, especially given the current climate, is people are looking for proper information. Are there the people sharing the stupid memes and inaccurate information? Yeah. Trolls.
Yeah.
But people are looking for it. And so if they're looking for it, if they're searching, that means that there's a market for it, which is how I think that we as millennials, as Gen Z, need to take it and move it forward. Is you endorse or you watch or you start things like Hasan Minhaj did. He has the Patriot Act, and he doesn't cover all news topics. He covers one topic specifically and goes in and teaches people about that like properly. I think having that looks to me like modern day investigative journalism.
So I would want to, because that level of investigative journalism I deeply appreciate, and I know where you're coming from in that sense, because I also enjoy it a lot. Like, I love, maybe not Hasan Minhaj Patriot Act, very American lens which we spoke about before. In my own world, in my sort of own lens that I see things through, whatever biases those introduce, there are plenty of those types of journalism that I like to watch. So it's anything from a Vice documentary, which people believe is problematic. I don't know what your problem with Vice is, but there's Vice, there is Vox. Have you seen the Explained series?
No.
So there's a series called Explained, and it just goes into sort of different layers of depth about different topics, and it kind of explains it in a more easily consumable shape and form. You then obviously have your much deeper layer styles of documentaries. These are now you're starting, and then you go beyond that. You start getting into like actual academic research, stuff like that, which I guess in its own way can be, I guess, investigative journalism, because you're doing diligent research based on a set of parameters that are requiring an outcome or a point of knowledge to be transferred.
Right.
In that environment, the one thing they all have in common is they're talking about these very broad things. So you mentioned that Hasan Minhaj had done an episode on fentanyl, an episode on Sudan when the revolution was there. Like, these are great. It's good that kind of information is being transferred. But I wonder more about the kind of day-to-day current affairs model that we're talking about, that kind of news that's dying, that kind of investigative journalism where in the 60s maybe you were talking about someone who would maybe spend a month doing a piece on a specific thing. Right.
So in my opinion, I think, or in my viewpoint, I think that will just turn, and I'm not talking about on TV. Like, because obviously if the media outlets were doing their job right now, then we wouldn't even be having to have this conversation, right? But the truth of the matter is they get most of their verified sources and articles from the newspaper. So if that dies, I think that everybody will kind of find either their niche or whatever it is, but opposed to having 30 writers who have a different topic in a newspaper, you would have 30 different creators. We'll call them journalists because I hope that's what they would be.
Yep.
But covering their area, you know what I mean? And I think that based on interest and need and what we know about marketing and what we know about filling gaps and holes, is that I think if this goes well, which I'm wishful thinking here, that everybody would find their niche, find their pocket, find the need, find where they're passionate, where they can spend time, you know, and if they see a hole in the market and they go, look, nobody's covering, I don't know, politics in the UK, like for an American audience, I can do that. I'm interested in that. I know enough about it. I'm willing to do the research and do the due diligence. I think that the bigger question is, how will we as a public welcome that or learn how to verify those sources that we can take that information from?
So I would the problem with
Also,
reinventing
so
the
let me
wheel.
pause this. This is all speculation based off
Total.
this piece of information.
Total, 100%, total. We're drawing in the clouds with butterflies and unicorns. We have no idea. We can't make these. We can't make these.
We've
predictions
got
and speculations
intuition
on any,
and
like,
spunk.
solid. Yeah, we're millennials. What else do we need? And give me my bloody participation trophy, and I will be on my way, sir.
Yes.
I don't need none of your judgment or logic. So I guess in this picture, in this butterfly unicorn cloud picture that we're painting,
Yes.
there's a solid foundations to build on. Let me tell you. I saw it on a documentary on architecture. The problem, I guess, with this that I would offer up is that when you paint that picture of 30 different creators creating their piece of news from their perspective, in their lens and all of this stuff, and let's assume then that people are doing their due diligence and they've actually gone and they've done the research and they've really worked on getting the information to a solid point where they can hand it over and be like, I know that I can, with all of my integrity, I can tell you that this is the way the world is right now. This is how I see it. Let's say that those 30 creators are able to do that. The problem, and I guess the reason that the newspapers were kind of created in the first place, is that they wanted one central place that everyone could go, and the dude standing on the corner saying, "Here, you know, extra, get your news." You know, the newspaper has the breaking news. It has politics. It has finance. It has sports. It has travel. And, you know, local affairs, whatever, international news. So this is the newspaper that's now gone and taken all of these 30 creators of the 60s and put them in one office. And they're like, cool, guys, we're getting this out in a month's time. Let's get to work. Now, the newspaper model may die. Is Facebook, YouTube, Netflix, I don't know, Disney Plus, for all we care. I don't care. Whoever the platform is, who gets to take that piece of the pie and decides, there's a bunch of creators here that are making some news, and I'm not going to go do the research, but what I will do is I am going to give them the platform to tell the news. And then let's fast forward that scenario. The problem then arises, who's paying for that? Because they will be the one who control it and control what gets seen.
Loop.
Endless.
So there's no hope to anything. We're
Nope.
going to go in a circle.
It's all
forever.
dismal.
So what I recommend is you get a nice blanket. You get some popcorn. You give up. You sit on the couch. You consume Netflix and you do nothing. That's it.
I wasn't expecting blanket. I thought something else, but I wasn't expecting blanket. You caught me. You caught me.
And I think that's the be all end all of all this.
Yeah, life is meaningless. We're in a postmodern society. Existential crises, left, right, and center. Everything is meaningless, and we're just all gonna die. And you know what? Let's go smell the flowers until we do.
Honestly, guys, that's it. That's really it. So our speculation has been
so I was
dark turn.
all for naught. Yeah, but okay. So let's take my cynicism out of it. But let's go back to your picture of 30 creators.
No, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I was literally gonna say this.
Oh no.
But what are we gonna do? Like, we're going to live in the circle until we learn to be better or do better. But history has told us that we're not going to.
Do you know what I'm gonna say?
So the newspapers will break down, and then it'll become an online digital platform. And whether it's BuzzFeed or Vice or Discovery or whoever does decide to pick that up and go, okay, you know what, we're gonna hire those 60 reporters, or journalists. We're going to make our makeshift thing, and we're gonna make this work, and we're gonna get funding. Probably from some sketchy people.
Is this another like sort of anarchy opportunity thing where it's kind of like these sort of incumbent news organizations we're talking about, the BBCs, the CNNs, Fox, Sky News, all of these big ones, like Euronews, whatever the case is, they're all obviously supported by financial institutions, by their advertisers who are paying them, whatever government subsidies they can pick up here and there. These media networks, are they do they just need to be burnt to the ground? Is that kind of just because there are still people who watch cable? There are still people who watch satellite television, like not internet. Yeah. Okay.
But I just want the whole world to burn recently. We'll just burn it down and then start over and see how it goes. And even then, we will go back into the same circle because we're people. We're human, and that's what the fuck we do. We need to have power dynamics.
I don't have a problem with the circle, though, if I'm being honest. I don't have all that much of a problem with the circle, because what we do have on our side, how that saying, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yep.
So human beings don't learn. We do repeat it. There is, constantly the same circle over and over and over again. We're having the same problems, but every time there's some change. As time goes on, there is some change, and there is some good that comes of it.
So to be pessimistic,
if it takes another however many cycles of this thing to go, we'll get there eventually. There is
depending on if you're religious or not, we're going to get to Earth being thrown into a pit of fire before anything actually changes. And I say this it's
getting really warm in London. I don't know about you.
I say this to the extent that, we can make it better, we can make it different, but there's always going to be people who will exploit it. We all went vegan. We went sustainable. We stopped using straws, and people exploited it. You now have to check every brand that you use, because the same brands who are using child labor or prison labor are also making your sustainable goods now. So there's always going to be an opportunity to exploit it. All I think that is really in our power and control is us personally to try to be the best that we can be every day. And honestly, guys, get wealth. Do whatever you can to start gaining wealth, whether that's a healthy savings account.
Those are inherently two different things.
No, it's not. Because,
those are two inherently different things.
Michael, I have been in what would be the worst funk of my life these last few weeks. And all the documentaries and all the books and all the news. And want to know what the conclusion is?
Tell me.
You can do anything if you have money.
Yes, that is capitalism for the win.
And so
that's what I'm talking about.
Gain wealth in whatever way you can. And I say this because a lot of creators right now that I've seen in my sphere have paused their whatever it is, if it's their side hustle or writing the book or creating the videos or whatever it is, because they're now's not the time. And now is the time. Hustle. make your extra money, make your extra change, even if that's just so that you are safe and secure and you're not just like a little cog in the machine. If that's, you can help one other person, if that's your child or your cousin or your aunt or whatever that person is, like, we have to start gaining wealth to like remove the lower class, to remove like this 1% of wealth and start playing on an even playing field. So I feel like now is the perfect time. So I'm going to ask you a question because
we're getting very political here. We're about to get political. We're about to get political because I'm going to make. I knew it. I was trying to avoid that line. I knew that was coming.
Well, that took away the political side.
Well, I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing political back. So my question to you is, do you like my JT reference over there?
Yeah.
That was good. It was a good JT reference. We love a good JT reference. So so my question is, do you believe in capitalism?
I don't think that you have a choice. I don't think this is it's like, do you believe in air?
Interesting. I mean, there's a lot of people that would completely disagree.
For
that would just
or
be like,
against,
yeah, fuck capitalism, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's a different question. For or against, that's an opinion you can have. Capitalism exists whether you like it or not, whether you're on board or not.
Interesting.
Do you disagree?
No. I don't. I personally like. There's there's days, but gray areas for the win. Definitely stand, if we're talking between like capitalism and pure socialism, like I definitely lean towards capitalism because I genuinely believe that people with integrity and with the right kind of mindset can use capitalism to their and society's advantage to create opportunities.
Right.
I genuinely believe that. Like, that's my call it naive, without taking advantage and without exploiting, and call it naive, call it optimistic, whatever you want to call it. But I genuinely believe that good capitalism, like capitalism that is not rooted in exploitation or rooted in what's the word? Exploitation. Like that's not rooted.
What he's trying to say is get money, fuck bitches with consent. That's what he's trying to say.
I wish it wasn't, but I think that is what I'm trying to say. I wish it wasn't, but I think you hit the nail on the head.
I know. I've been waiting for my opportunity here, and you just explained me right into it.
God damn it.
So I feel like, and that's exactly it right there, which is why I say in all of this, we don't know what will happen with the news or who we can trust or blah, 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 right? But if you start focusing on you, and that sounds so selfish or whatever, like what you, and not just what I don't mean like go home and do your makeup and just focus on self-care. That's important. But I mean more like what you can do in your community. Who are the 5 people around you?
On a micro scale, yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And then build those 5 people up, inspire those 5 people, mentor those 5 people, like whatever it is that you have access to, right? Like that's, I think, how we affect bigger change is if people, I wouldn't say stop focusing on big matters because that's ignorant, but recognize them for what they are.
From a practical standpoint, you got to put your money where you can physically do something
vote
with
your
do you know
dollar.
what I mean?
Stop funding companies that exploit these things. Stop watching the stupid news channels that are just repeating what the newspaper said and not actually adding anything journalistically to it. Stop watching people who are literally just commentary channels at this point. Like all of these news sources are commentary. It's not.
We're a commentary channel, right?
Yes, but nobody's paying me billions of dollars to do it. Like,
yet.
Pay me billions
Yet.
of dollars, baby. I will do.
The secret materialization. Speak it into existence.
Yes,
Manifestation.
girl.
Materialization?
What I mean by that is it's not, we are not saying that we are a news channel coming with fresh news that's researched and we've done our due diligence. We are literally commenting.
That's a good point.
That's a good point. Called Fox News. You are supposed to be bringing the fucking news. And you are bringing other people's news that you've done nothing, and then you bring other people on to debate about it.
Sprinkled.
Exactly. You guys are just talking about what you think, what you feel. That's what I go to Trevor Noah for. That's what I go to like satire channels for. I don't want to turn on the TV and see people who are supposed to be credible reporters doing that. You're supposed to be up there.
I've stopped being able to decipher what's serious and what isn't anymore, and I think that to me is very worrying.
The fact that Daily News, the Daily Show feels more like a credible news source than
no. that I look at it, and I like, if I were to read like, we're talking about pure real satire and comedy.
Yeah.
Like if you were to read a headline from one of those websites, you know, the real like hardcore satire, like everything is just a total piss take.
Right.
Between that and like an actual like a Fox News website, I can't tell the difference. It's so ridiculous. It's become so like just
so that's the thing. Stop consuming that. Not
weird.
I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking to people in general. Like, we keep consuming the nonsense opposed to doing our own due diligence and doing our own research and learning something. Now, obviously, I know that it's not practical for everybody to spend like a few hours a day like researching news topics, right? But pick a thing. Pick something and just be educated on that thing. Don't be walking around blind just listening to like everybody else's opinion, regurgitating information that you heard from one person one time and not actually learning about it for your goddamn self. Okay, that's all I have to say.
I'm doing the pointing thing. You couldn't tell this time, but I am doing the pointing thing with the guns. Finger guns.
Yeah, I think that's really all I have to say on the matter.
I mean, I'm kind of left here saying, well, just go and start a small bar on a beach somewhere in the Caribbean and just sort of do your thing and hang out over there.
Get your blanket.
But I think the one thing I would get your blanket.
Get your popcorn.
Pull up a chair. The thing I would say, which jumps to mind is, we were talking about hustle and make your money and sort of like take care of yourself. There was a very, very interesting tweet that went around, and kind of, the Breakfast Club Twitter and everyone's kind of like, like, or Rock Nation Brunch Twitter was sort of like, yeah, we have to, everybody's got to do their bit. But then the kind of response was, yeah, but what money are you going to actually do anything with? Mm-hmm. Like, it's all good and well that we're saying, okay, but support. Yeah, support with what? Like, some people can't put food on the table. Like, from a practical standpoint, there's certain percentages of a population that just can't afford to protest. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether that's like actually donating, whether that's leaving their place of work to go to a protest, all of this stuff. And they say use your votes, and I agree. I fully agree, use your votes. That's great. But when it comes to like financially, you can't run an entire movement with zero money.
So that's where I
like,
say,
whether that's a donation,
money.
whether that's like whatever the case is, but there has to be some kind of like
however you do
money
that,
in this machine.
Learn to make a fucking bracelet, get an Etsy account. Like, use everybody, and I truly
don't go to
this.
coaches though. Don't go to like these online coach guys and Shopify coaches and YouTube coaches, and like, don't go to them.
You can literally learn everything on
they're
YouTube.
They're taking your money. Don't. Yeah.
What I mean is, like, I believe that everybody is good at something. The same way I believe that everybody could find a niche and make their news channel, I feel like there's something. There's always something, and there's always a way.
Everyone can find a what?
Like a niche, like whatever they like. Oh, my saying niche.
Sorry, that got me. Triggered.
I know, I always say it. Everybody can find their like little thing and figure out how to monetize that. And whether that's, you're really into what's like a really weird thing. Like you're really in.
That's the thing. I want to come up with something weird, but it won't be weird because there will be hundreds of thousands of millions of people who do that thing.
Exactly.
Nothing's weird anymore.
You can create a YouTube channel. You can create a blog. You can do whatever you want, and maybe that means that you don't get like an extra hour of sleep. Maybe that means that you have to hustle a little bit harder. But then at least you won't be so, and this is going to sound, oh my God, so anarchist, but then at least you won't be like controlled by the system. You know what I mean? You'll have the financial ability to not, again, be the cog. Is that if you decide that the job you're at isn't it, you know? If you're not being respected or valued, you can leave because you will have at least enough wealth in your bank account to have a savings account to be like, look, this isn't it for me. Even if you're a clerk or the guy who bags the groceries downstairs, if you had enough wealth, and let's say maybe that's it. That's you're cool with your 9-to-5 job or your I don't know hours a clerk works, but that job and coming home and just living your life. Let's say you're okay with that.
Do you know, have you seen on I always go back to this. Have you seen on TikTok a guy called Ty Verdes?
No.
Ty Verdes. I don't know how you say his name, but he did that. He's a musician. Awesome song called "Stuck in the Middle," I think. He worked at one of your American cell phone providers, AT&T or Verizon or something. He worked at one of them, and every night he came home and made music, and now he's blown up.
Exactly. That's the thing is like you do your little thing.
It's a real thing.
You gain your little wealth on the side, and then at least you have options. At least you're not just stuck. And I think that stuckness is what makes our movements become stagnant, is because people do have to pay bills. People do have to go to work and feed their kids. And it's so hard to worry about the world burning down when you are literally just trying to focus on like getting your kids to school. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of that pressure is financial pressure.
Always, yeah.
Imagine you handed like
Absolutely.
$100,000 to every person, or let's say even you just paid their rent for a year. How much stress would be off of those humans? You know what I mean? Like, how much would like your average like Sally, who's working her 9-to-5 job, stressed as fuck, like not like barely making ends meet.
Or let's just be serious. If the 70% of the US population that's in debt, let's pretend that you knocked out at least 50%. Maybe let's say you knocked out all of their debt, cancelled all of their debt. Imagine the kind of economy you'd have.
It'd be
where
insane.
People aren't like freaking out every day about like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my credit card bills?
Imagine how much
because no one taught me in school how to use a credit card.
Exactly. Imagine how much healthier people would be, how much more active people would be, how many more different variations of art we would see when people aren't constant. And so that's what I mean is like, get money, fuck bitches with consent.
Starting to sound like a bit of a socialist, if I'm honest.
Look, call it whatever you want.
We don't like socialists on this podcast.
Do we not?
Capitalists, hardcore capitalists on this podcast.
No, because you get your money and then you do your you know what I mean? Like, money moves everything.
All day.
And then when you have that wealth, you have choices. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, I think we should wrap this up.
That's all I'm saying. I agree. Yeah, call it. If you are watching this episode on YouTube, please subscribe, comment, like. But more than that, I would say if you are watching this on YouTube, please send an episode to someone. Send in any of our episodes that you enjoyed. Send it to someone, let them check it out. Same goes for if you're listening on any of the audio platforms. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, any of the above, or any that I haven't mentioned for that matter, send an episode to your friends. Tag it on Instagram, send it to someone. We would be immensely grateful if you could help us get this to more people. That would be wonderful. And of course, the ratings, the comments, the likes, the love. We love the digital love.
It strokes our egos.
We love
so
much.
A good ego stroke.
Oh, it's the best. Oh shucks, you make me blush. And that's it from us, I'd say. So of course, check out our Patreon page. It's linked in the description below. Check out our Patreon. You can buy us a coffee. You can. You could send me a pigeon. You could send me pigeon mail if you wanted, and I'd probably be very grateful. I would actually be really grateful. That sounds like a lot of effort.
Me.
I'm rambling.
Leave the pigeon stuff for him.
DM Alysia. Don't talk. Don't. Yeah.
No pigeons.
Just DM her.
All right, you guys. We will see you in the next episode.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.